Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday morning, and what a beautiful morning it is. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys today to talk about a topic that I think is relatively important for pretty much anybody, but a little bit more specific towards women over 40, women, seeing the changes in their hormone bodies and feeling the changes, and also seeing the changes in the clothes and not understanding what is going on in terms of, like, I feel like I woke up overnight and my body has just changed. I feel like I've gained all this weight and I don't know where it's coming from. I'm eating the same, I'm exercising the same, but I'm just not getting those results. And so what I have to say for you guys is, we are no longer 20 or 30 and our body doesn't respond the same way. And because of that, we need to treat ourselves differently, in the way we think, in the way we eat, in the way we move. So, a topic that I like to talk a lot about with my clients is about calories and macronutrients. And this is just specifically because I get this question a lot. Like, Veronica, what should I be focusing on? Should I be focusing on my macronutrients, or should I be focusing on my calories? And that question is not so straightforwardly answered, and I'll let you guys know why as we're talking through. But if you were to ask me, what would I focus on more? If I were just to focus on one thing, I would definitely say I would focus on macronutrients. Now, calories are important no matter what. Bottom line is that if you overeat, according to what your body needs for energy to maintain its body weight, then it's quite easily you're going to gain weight. I mean, that's pretty basic math. And there's really no type of food in huge amounts that can stop you from gaining weight. So if you're eating too much, you will gain weight. And that we know it as a form of calories. So eat more calories than your body needs, you will gain more weight. Now, there's a lot of situations where a woman eats very little, but yet she still gains weight. And that's where it becomes very puzzling, and where this message of eat less, move more scenario makes women feel like they're actually going to get results. And as soon as, we get a health coach come in or a mentor come in and saying, you're not eating enough food, we need to up your calories, we as women freak out. I mean, we're just like, what do you mean I'm going to eat more calories? I've been eating so little and I haven't lost anything at all. And there's a reason why you haven't lost. And you need to understand why, and you need to understand how you need to shift your metabolism into a direction where it's actually going to benefit you and help you lose fat and help you lose weight and make you feel healthy. And so the way we do that is we make sure that you are eating the right amount of calories, but along with the right amount of calories, we also want to make sure that you're eating the right type of foods. And the reason why the right type of foods is so important when you think about macronutrients is just simply because when you eat healthier food choices, you don't tend to overeat as if you were eating foods that were not healthy, packaged foods, processed foods. And I can't say that's 100% sure for everybody, but I can definitely tell you through science and through studies and through working through with many, many, many clients of my own, and even listening to my mentors on the clients that they have worked for and what has worked for them, is that the majority of people who eat more of a healthy, well-rounded, nutrient-dense, macronutrient, highly in protein, fiber, are people who lose weight quicker, people who maintain the weight off for years and for some long life, and don't struggle with the yo-yo dieting, and don't struggle with the emotional eating aspect, and don't struggle with the fact that they feel that they need to eat less to get results. So, bottom line is calories are important. Even if you eat 4,000 calories of broccoli, you will gain weight if your maintenance level of calories is 2,000 or 1,500. You will gain weight regardless. Now, when you think about that, when you think about eating 4,000 calories of broccoli, besides the fact that you may gag, because I mean, I love broccoli, but there's only so much I can eat. Do you really think that you would be able to eat all that broccoli? Like, think about how broccoli really fills you up, and think of the fiber in it and how it's so satisfying for your brain and your stomach. You literally would not be able to eat that much because it shuts off the hunger signals in the body. It literally, sends a message to the brain to say, stop eating, because the amount of fiber, the amount of nutrients that that food has, it doesn't require you to want to eat anymore. So your body is really smart in terms of turning on and off switches. So your body will turn on the switch, and it's more like not like a switch, it's more like a dial, like a dimmer. So if you start eating processed foods, that dimmer will go brighter, asking you for more, because it's an excitatory, it excites your body. So when you eat that food, your body wants more, and it's not necessarily that it is satisfying its hunger. It is literally satisfying its neurological chemical response in your body, like a drug. You take a drug, you feel good, the side effects, the feeling of good, dissipates, you want more. It's the exact same thing with food. So that's why when we look at calories, when we look at macronutrients, me specifically as a mentor, I like to train my clients and teach my clients a lifestyle that really makes sense. So first of all, I really don't like going straight into calories with my clients. I like to see what they're eating. I like to try to clean up what they're eating first, little by little, step by step. Once I see them at a place where I feel that, okay, they are ready for the next step and they have made a consistent habit of eating healthy. Like, I have this one amazing client who's actually away on vacation. I missed her because I haven't seen her this week. And she's been doing so amazing, being consistent. And this is somebody who has had a hard time being consistent. And so by giving her the tools to create the habit to have a consistent diet, then we were able to move on towards, talking more about macronutrients, but yet towards calories. So now we're getting her to log her food in, so that way we have a little bit more of a bigger understanding of how many calories she's eating. And I'm not really drilling in on too much macronutrients. I mean, when I look at her nutrition log, I definitely look at that, but that's something that I try not to point out right away, because again, it's step by step. It's looking at yourself. So you need to treat yourself like if you were a mentor for yourself. Would you want everything hard push? Are you that kind of person? Are you a person that needs things in a slower pace? So we're going to be looking now at how many calories she's eating, and surprise, some days eating way less than she needs to, and some days maybe eating a little bit more. But in the overall week, it's about balancing, right? So she's supposed to eat 2,000 calories in 1 week times 7, that's 14,000. So if she gets 13,000 in 1 week, then that's great. I mean, she's still in a deficit, right? Her scale may be up and down if she weighs herself every day, but we don't do that, because if you weigh yourself every day, that plays mind tricks with you, and you need to create a consistent habit. So that's what it comes in with calories, right? So making sure that you're eating a certain amount of calories to help maintain your weight if that's where you want to be, or a small deficit to help you lose. Our next step with this client that I'm going to be going into hopefully soon is the macronutrient part, and this is the part that I want to talk to you guys about. And when you start eating for macros, when you start eating towards hitting a goal for amount of protein, amount of fat, amount of carbohydrates, and then in that carbohydrate section we kind of break it down, not right away but later, into fiber, sugar, and then take the comparison and do a little bit of math to see how much carbohydrates is that person really eating that is going to be used as stored energy, right? So your body doesn't use all the foods that you eat right away as energy unless you are really in a deficit, like a really, really deep deficit, but you would feel very lethargic and you would feel very tired all day long. So most of us don't live that way. Most of us overconsume food. Most of us maybe maintain what we should be eating, but majority of us do overconsume. So when you overconsume in any meal, your body will automatically store that food as storage, which is called fat. And I know fat sounds like such a horrible word, and they really should call it something else, like just, I don't know, storage tank or something. because it's really our survival tool. We need it there for in case of starvation, in case of high stress responses in our body that are going to help us deal with outputting that energy that we need. So when we need that energy, it's relatively available, and that's why it always stores here in the abdominal, because the abdominals is very close to the liver, and the liver actually makes that sugar very quickly when we're in those type of responses. So that's why it needs it in close proximity. So the thing is that when I teach my clients to start looking at macros, I say, okay, so you're getting to the calories that we need you to be, because we already got through, so we went through part A, which is cleaning up the diet. Part B is looking at calories. And then part C is, okay, so if the person's over consuming calories, or maybe there's a lot of sweet tooth and overeating at night, and maybe rambunctious eating, or, just not really getting a really good consistency, then we start looking at macros. And I want to help that client to clean up their diet a little bit more, to help them feel a little bit more satisfied by looking at the macronutrients and knowing key macros that will help that person feel full. And so this is good information for you too, right? So understanding that fiber, protein, and water are the most filling things that you can eat, and then after that comes fat and carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are your last. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, because so much food out there that's available to us is carbohydrate based, and it's fast, it's easy, it's convenient, it's there, there's endless foods, and worst of all, it makes us feel amazing. Like I get it. I eat, like, sometimes I have a cracker and a piece of bread, which I shouldn't, not because of my health goals, but because I'm literally sensitive to gluten. Not allergic, not celiac, but sensitive. And I don't feel so good, but sometimes I do just want to bite into a sandwich. But when you do, it tastes so good, it feels so good. And you kind of need to think about, like, why don't we feel that way when we eat, like, salad? Like, why don't we feel that way when we eat fruit? You can train your body to definitely feel that way, and I kind of feel that way now about salad. Like, I love salad. I can't go out a day without 2 huge salads. It just doesn't feel right. But the thing is that those carbohydrates, they trigger, again, another type of excitatory in your brain. They make you the, ooh, I feel good feeling, and it actually increases serotonin. So that serotonin helps you feel happy. It makes you feel happy for a very short time, but it drops you down, and then you want to eat it again. And so that's why I look at carbohydrates the last option of adding more to make someone feel satisfied, because it plays too much with your brain, and it confuses you to really understand the difference between I'm full or I want pleasure, right? And so full and pleasure are 2 different things. Pleasure, we can never get enough of pleasure, and that's when we end up overdoing things. So when we create meal plans and when you want to drop weight and be healthy, the first thing you probably want to do is look at your daily plan or your weekly plan and stick all of your protein first. Where am I going to have my protein? What protein am I going to have for breakfast? What protein am I going to have for lunch? What protein am I going to have for dinner? Right, the 3 main meals. And then if you're doing a lot of strength training, you possibly want to think about, where's my protein in my snacks too? That's how much protein you would need if you're doing a lot of strength training, or if you're very physically active. Remember, the older we get, ladies, the more protein our body requires. Okay, so it's not that we don't require so much body. Don't think that because you're not growing that you don't need enough protein. You actually need more protein to maintain the muscle that you have in your body, and we need to move to make sure that that muscle is active. So first we start with our protein, and I'd say usually about 3 ounces. So 3 ounces is the size of your palm, the thickness of your palm. Okay, so about 3 ounces. You probably want to weigh just to make sure. Some people have bigger hands. So just weigh, just kind of see what it looks like, and then kind of eyeball it from there. And then I look at fiber. So then my second one is fiber, and I say, okay, I need a lot of fiber in my diet because that's going to help me stay full. It's going to help me keep my bowels clean. It's going to help feed my gut, because your gut has a huge effect on your cravings that you have all day, and it has a huge effect on how much of the food that you eat gets actually stored as fat. So gut health is very important. So fiber comes a lot from vegetables, but the best fibers for women who want to drop weight, for women over 40, for women who are going through hormonal issues, is literally leafy greens. So the majority of, like, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, spinach, lettuce, mixed greens, dandelion greens, I think you guys get the picture, right? When we talk about more things like a root vegetable, squashes are wonderful for you to have. Yams or sweet potatoes, right? Those are good options. Beets are good too, but careful with beets and carrots. They're very high in sugar. And then lastly, potatoes is probably like the last one on your list that you should look at, just because they contain too much starch. They kind of create that same excitatory feeling that you would get, like say, from just potato chips. But also do note that if you just eat a potato on its own without all of the toppings, it is very satisfying for your hormones. It's very satisfying for your body. The problem is a lot of us don't just eat potatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper. We start putting sour cream and bacon bits, chives, and all this other stuff, and butter, and that's where things start going wrong. And I'm definitely going to be doing another live show about how we combine our foods and how that makes a difference, because I think that's really important. So that's what you look at. Next is your leafy greens, which is your fiber. Now you have to understand that leafy greens contain a lot of water. So you're already getting two areas right there, fiber and water. But you definitely want to make sure that you're drinking enough water in the day as well, because protein is very dehydrating. And a lot of people who switch to a high protein diet right away with not enough leafy greens and not drinking enough water, and they're just drinking coffee all day long, end up becoming very constipated. Even if you're drinking enough water, but you have a sitting job and you sit for long periods of time, you will become constipated. So this is the issue that I see. So hydration is very important. And then we start talking about, okay, so we got protein, we got fiber, and now fat, right? Is that right? Well, so water, sorry, and then fat, right? So fat, you want to make sure that your fats are healthy fats, right? Why? Because those healthy fats are going to help you release inflammation in your body. Omega-3s, which are what we want to talk about, what we want to focus on, is omega-3 types of fats. Omega-6 we get a lot in our diet, and omega-6 is like more found in grains, and really, poor quality of meats with high fat in it. Omega-6 increases inflammation, so that's really not good. And inflammation is one of the biggest problems that is occurring in a lot of our bodies, that is causing illness and disease, and it has a big factor on your resistance of fat loss as well. So we want to make sure that we're getting healthy fats such as like avocados, nuts and seeds, coconut oil, olive oil, right? And you have to understand that most proteins and vegetables have a small amount of fat too, so you're automatically getting healthy fats through just eating those two first meals that you've had, right? And so those things are important. So what the fats that you really want to avoid, that are really going to cause damage to your hormones, that are going to make you stay in a state of being overweight and unhealthy, especially at the age of 40 and plus. I'm telling you guys, ladies at 40s and plus, we can't get away with the things that we used to eat before. It's just, your body's so unforgiving. And I think you guys know this, right? You can feel it in your body when you have something that you know that is not the best choice. It just lingers onto your body like glue for like weeks or days. At least that's how I feel. And so fried foods, gotta stay away from those. Trans fat, margarine, right? Nut butter spreads, those are healthy to a point, because they're very easy to overeat. They also cause another excitatory in your brain, which is actually orgasmic. I know it sounds funny. It's literally orgasmic. You can't stop eating. This is why, you eat peanuts and you can't stop eating. And same thing with almonds with me, especially when they have chocolate on top of it, right? And so you got to be careful with those kind of things, right? So when it comes to eating a healthy diet, like really, fat is almost like a sprinkle on your diet, unless you're doing like a ketogenic diet, which is another topic I really need to talk about, because I just don't believe in these type of short-term fat diets. They're just unsustainable. They're not real. Like literally, who can eat just fat? 90% of your diet just fat, long-term for life. Wow, that's pretty boring, and I definitely wouldn't want to live that life. You literally wouldn't be able to do anything. You can't go to a birthday party because you can't have nothing, right? So we're talking about a well-rounded, balanced diet, okay? So you got those leafy greens in there, you got the healthy fats, you got the protein, And now we're going to talk about carbohydrates. So when you think, well, Veronica, I really love my starchy carbs, I really love my potatoes, I want some rice, I want some pasta. You can have that. The problem is that we eat reverse, right? We stock up first carbohydrates, then we stock fat, then we stock vegetables, and then protein is last. Like, do you guys not agree with me? Like, think about the way we eat, or at least the way we used to eat if you've been changing the way you're eating, which, congrats, I'm very happy for you. Is it not like the complete opposite? We have to completely change the way we think in terms of how we eat. So carbohydrates, starchy carbs, you can have rice, you can have all of that. It's about making them the last thing on your plate and the smallest thing on your plate. I want you to get full and satisfied off of the foods that are on your plate before that starch comes. And on some people, which I've been doing recently with my daughter, because she's going through a lot of hormone changes. She's 13 years old, and now she's just going for what stimulates her. She's not going for like thinking with her brain about what makes her healthy. So I've literally had to rearrange the way we eat dinner. When we eat dinner now, it's salad that comes out first. There's no other food on the table but the salad and the plates. We start off with the salad. Once she's done her salad, then I bring out the protein and I put down her carbohydrates in terms of a portion, and I leave the rest of the carbohydrates away from the table so it's not easily grabbed. She eats what's on her plate, and if she wants more carbs, then she goes and gets it. And guess what? She barely goes back to get more carbohydrates. And now she eats everything off her plate in order. And so maybe that's something that we need to do for ourselves. It really helps a lot to retrain your mind, recreate good habits. And so definitely have, your starchy carbs, but limit the amount. And what I tell women is I say, start with half a cup of cooked starch on your plate. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you get it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? I would prefer not. But if you used to eat just starch for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then you may need to start off with half a cup for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then start tapering off to taking one away, maybe now and having it twice a day. And then take that last one off and then have it once a day. And you want to choose where that once a day is. And everybody is different. And so this goes a little bit further into finding like how macronutrients really help you at certain times of the day. So for example, for me, I like to have my carbohydrates 2 different times of the day, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm working out in the morning, I'm going to have it pretty much at lunchtime because I need it to replace what I've lost in the exercise room. But if I'm not exercising that day, I actually like to save it for dinner just so I can kind of enjoy something different with my family. It helps me feel like I'm not being left out. It helps me enjoy a little bit of that rice or mashed potatoes that we made, and I know that I'm balancing myself out because during the day I haven't. Now, some people may think, well, Veronica, you work out, you should be able to eat lots of carbs, right? Well, not necessarily, because again, I'm not 30, I'm 44, and my body just doesn't respond that way. So I need to do what works for my body. I can't do what works for everybody else or what papers say. I need to be the investigator of my own health, and that's what I want to teach you guys how to be. So you need to play around with your carbohydrates and see where do you feel the best. Do you feel like you need it in the morning? Is it really going to help you think better, process your day better? Or does it make you fall asleep after when you have it for breakfast? Do you think that maybe you need it at lunchtime because you need that pick-me-up in between work, right? Or does it make you fall asleep at the desk, right? Or do you need it at dinner time? Because for most women who have problems sleeping, who are over 40, and you have problems sleeping, usually carbohydrates at dinner time are the best times to eat it because it actually helps you sleep at night. So that's something to think about, okay? And then I want to talk about fruit before we leave this topic. Fruits are carbohydrate, and a lot of people don't really know where they land because we are fearful of carbs. I don't want you to be fearful of carbs. I want you to have carbs. I just want you to be smart about how you eat them. And so the more tropical the fruit is, so think tropical fruits, bananas, pineapples, mangoes. So things that come from far, far away land, but yet we have the accessibility to them, thank goodness. Right? Oh my God. We'd be eating in seasons for sure. We'd definitely be healthier. So those kind of fruits that you want to treat those as like treats. So you shouldn't be having like 3 or 4 bananas a day. You shouldn't be having a banana, mango, and pineapple every day of the week, right? Because that's too much sugar. And any sugar, whether it's from leafy greens or potatoes to fruit, those are all carbohydrates and they all break down to sugar. Okay, but some break down faster and they affect your hormones more negatively. And I'm not saying that fruit affects your hormones negatively because it has fiber, has water, has a lot of good things. But the problem is that when you're trying to drop weight, you need to watch the amount of sugar that's in your diet. So fruit, half a cup a day. One apple, small apple, is good. If you need more, play around with it and see how you feel. See how your clothes are fitting. See how your emotions are feeling. See how your energy is like. See if you're actually dropping weight and you're actually getting to the goals that you want. So if you're not dropping weight and you are eating the amount of calories that you're supposed to, maybe you need to switch and say, you know what, I'm going to exchange 2 pieces of fruit. So I'm eating 2 pieces of fruit now. I'm going to exchange 1 for another 2 cups of leafy greens in my day, and I'm going to keep that 1 fruit and I'm going to see if that changes it. And I bet you it will change it. Or for some people, they need more carbs and you need to play around. So you need to be the detective of your health, or you hire a coach and a mentor that will help you be the detective. So we're going to wrap this all up. If you're kind of lost and you want to take notes, just to let you guys know that this information is in my blog. Go to bodiesbyvv.ca. Go to my blog and it says there, what is more important, macros or calories for women over 40? I have all the information in there for you. Also too, so just to wrap it up, that carbs, proteins, fats, fiber, and calories and water all count. Okay, they all count. But if you don't want to count calories, start with eating with macronutrients. You can count in a different way, right? You can make sure that you get enough macros in your day, especially protein, fiber, and water to start off with. And then, look at the other things and then include them into your diet. And you will notice that you will be nice and full. And if you actually did the reverse, ate that way, and then logged and saw what you were actually eating in terms of calories, you'd be relatively surprised that you're like, wow, I'm eating what I'm supposed to be eating without actually tracking calories, right? Because those foods keep you satisfied. So you guys, if you know anybody that is struggling through weight, if you know any ladies who are specifically over the age of 40, because those are the ladies I like to work with, or going through perimenopause, or going through maybe some dramatic hormonal shift in their life, like they had a baby and they're just not the same before, because that happens even if you're at the age of 30, and they need help, please tell them about this group. It is absolutely awesome. I'm here to give you information to help you lead a healthier lifestyle, to stop being confused and get answers. Remember, you are more than welcome to add comments so I can answer them. You're more than welcome to go on Bodies by VV Facebook page.